Wow. Thank you. First, although Lance stole my thunder, I want to thank my beautiful wife, Shelley, for being willing to put aside the fact that today is her birthday and instead be here to support me. Thank you, sweetheart. Now, I must confess that this honor, this thought, and your generous reaction thrill me deeply, but I am in equal part embarrassed to be singled out in this way when we all know that so many, all of you here and so many others out there with whom we work, so many who are down in the trenches, putting their hearts and their guts on the line every day, should be up here receiving this and every other honor that we can bestow. So, if I may, let me accept this honor on behalf of all of you and all of those whose efforts make real Albert Camus' belief that when there is no hope, it is incumbent upon us to invent it. Invent it. I think it's up to us not only to have it and believe in it and live it, but to embody hope for those who have lost it. Not only for those who live every day in a place designed to promote hopelessness, cold, dank, dreary, spiritless cells, places of misery and inhumanity and violence and shame, but also for those who become volunteers, men and women so defeated, so immiserated by their circumstances that they give up their appeals and ask for death rather than continue to slip down the road to misery and despair and invisibility. We have to have hope. I believe in hope because I believe in the human spirit, this ineffable something, this force beyond our understanding that empowers whatever is good in the world to stand against what is not. As Václav Havel told us, hope is a state of mind, not of the world. Hope in this deep and powerful sense is not the same as joy that things are going well or willingness to invest in enterprises that are obviously heading for success, but rather an ability to work for something because it is good. That's what we do, you and I. And let me say that in this work I have the incredibly good fortune in working closely with those on the board and those in support of Death Penalty Focus. To be in the company of some of the finest, most caring, and most decent people it's ever been my privilege to know. And I find that fact to be mirrored wherever I go in this country or in the world, for that matter, to join with others in pursuit of an end to state killing. And like any social movement, we have our crazies, of course, but by and large, we are in damned fine company. So by working for good, we stand against that other force. We expose it to the light and watch it, however slowly, coagulate and shrivel away in embarrassment, in shame, just as we saw happen last month in New Jersey because of the hope and love and ferocious dedication of Senator Ray Lesniak and Celeste Fitzgerald and so many of her courageous colleagues at New Jerseyans for Alternatives to the Death Penalty. And we thank you for that. I'm not a hater. I'm a pretty easygoing and optimistic guy, but through my years of experience with it, I've come to hate the death system in this country. I hate what it is, I hate what it does, and I hate the corrupting influence it has on everyone it touches. As I tell people every time I get a chance, there is no better example of the moral corrosion our society has suffered from this damnable process of dehumanizing those we deem expendable than what is being done today by otherwise normal, patriotic young Americans who are torturing human beings in Guantanamo and Iraq and elsewhere. It is... It is the poisonous legacy of mindless authoritarians, cowards who slink out of their caves long enough to try to bludgeon others into joining them in their self-imposed agony of fear, loneliness, and dystopia. I'm not a great believer in evil, at least not in the existence of evil people. But I do believe there are evil acts, evil practices, and I believe our tolerance of them does us harm. As Einstein said, the world's a dangerous place to live, not because of people who are evil, but because of people who don't do anything about it. And I'm not blind to the fact that there are bent and broken people out there who do terrible things, evil things. with Bishop Tutu, I believe that those who do monstrous things are not monsters, but people, damaged, hurt people. And I agree we have to have a system that keeps society safe from them, but not only by incarcerating and warehousing them, by treating their wounds and educating them and habilitating them so that they may someday return to society able to be productive citizens. And yes, reluctantly, I will agree with those whose the doomsayers that there are some who may not be healed, some whose life experience has been so utterly vile that they may be beyond our poor power to repair. They are the dangerous ones who do harm to others without apparent thought, the vicious ones whose contempt for life endangers others. Think Dick Cheney, for example. Who should be kept apart from society. But if we concede that there are evil acts, we must also face our responsibility as a society to understand how even the worst of them can happen. To understand is not to justify. To understand is to find a way to move us forward. No evildoer ever believes he or she is doing evil. In the beginning of Mein Kampf, Hitler says, in dealing with the Jewish question, I'm doing the Lord's work. Simone Weil in Gravity and Grace tells us that evil, when we are in its power, is not felt as evil, but as a necessity or even a duty. Philip Zimbardo, the professor of psychology at Stanford, whose prison study exposed the damage to both prisoners and guards done by the distorted power relationship such circumstances impose, says, for me, evil is the highest level of inhumanity. It could be one-on-one like the torturer and his victim, but more often than not, at that level, it's the individual as the agent of a system. It's that system, the death system, and the willingness of some to submit to it out of fear, while others use it to serve their own political ends, that we must expose to the light. Expose political ambition and yes, willful ignorance. As you know, as you all do, I cringe at them all, but the killing of Stanley Tookie Williams still makes my blood boil. The cowardice of Governor Schwarzenegger, a man whom the late Red Buttons perfectly described by saying he doesn't know if harass is one word or two. The cowardice of the man is staggering. He wrote me a few years ago claiming California's administration of the death penalty is free from the kind of systemic defects that have called its accuracy into question in other states. And today, in the face of a $14 billion budget shortfall, he cuts services for children and the elderly while setting aside $136 million for